Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the midday session about Datacom APIs in action. I'm sure you're all excited over here and having a great time at Dreamforce. So the agenda today is we're going to cover the APIs that we provide as a part of Data.com. We're going to talk about how you can access these APIs, what data do these APIs provide, and also a couple of use cases what we have with the APIs. Now, before we get started, so a safe harbor statement, so please make your purchasing decisions based on what's available. I'm sure you'll see enough of this slide all over Dreamforce. Now, in terms of our agenda, we're trying to keep it pretty tight in terms of go through a couple of slides, then switch over to a couple of examples from Workbench, and then again go over to some of those demos while we walk you through a couple of triggers and Apex classes. Also, for some of the demos that we show here, if you guys are interested, we do have the code as an unmanaged package. So if you're interested, let us know and we can, make that code available for you to play with. Okay. A bit about myself. I'm a senior product manager at Salesforce. I've been with Data for over 4 years now. I mainly handle our clean product, our data exchange platform, as well as our public APIs. Now, starting off with the API overview, so there are two products that currently we sell into the market. So the first product being Data.com Clean, and this is all about keeping your data up to date in your CRM, making sure you have the latest and greatest of the data that is available. The other product that we sell today is Prospector. So if you're kind of looking to prospect for new contacts, or you're looking to get you're looking to just sell smarter or get more opportunities, this is the product that you should be interested in. Now, we're talking about data. Now, what is the data that we provide? So we provide data of two kinds. So firstly, we provide you account data. So this is data from Dun & Bradstreet, which contains basic company firmographics. This also contains certain other information, such as your address, your description, a lot more fields. Now, the other data that we provide is contact level data. So think about people's titles, department, their email, their phone number, which company they work at. The contact data is sourced from Data.com Connect. Now, all this data is available to you as external objects that you can query right within your org itself. So there are three external objects like you can see. So Data Cloud Company, Data Cloud DNB Company, these are two objects that will give you company-related data. And I do have a couple of examples which will make this more clear later on. The only difference between Data Cloud Company and Data Cloud DNB Company is Data Cloud DNB Company is a superset of Data Cloud Company. So if you're thinking about the DNB Company object in the UI, you can construct that by querying the Data Cloud DNB Company object itself. Now, all the contact data is available to you as a part of Data Cloud Contact. So given this is the data that we provide today, what are the APIs that we have? So we have two APIs out there. One is the Search API, and the other one's the Match API. Again, the asset or the data set is still the same. So under the hood, the APIs are going to access the contact level data or company level data. Now, with these APIs, you have this flexibility to either build up your own UI or plug into your app, build some triggers, automate some processes, workflows, etc. So here are some of the ideas of what you could do with this API. Today, the in-app clean, it provides you access to clean your accounts, contacts, and leads. What you could do is you could start cleaning custom objects, or you could start cleaning create some cool Visualforce pages that would be cleaning the same objects. Now, search before create is a great example about, let's say if people come to your website and they come in, or your sales reps start entering data into your system, what you could do is before they start entering some incomplete information, you can search Data.com, get the right company or the contact, and enter that into your CRM. So that makes sure that the data that goes into your CRM is complete and has all the fields already. Other examples include some level of automated and on-demand cleaning. For some example, you may just want to clean a particular set of records, and you may not want to touch the other set of records. Also, feel free that if you want to build some mobile apps for your sales reps that are on the field, you can use this data and display this data to them at various parts of the process. Now, this is the availability today by what we have in the different products over here. So we talked about the search and the match API. The other API we have is the purchase API. So what this is all about is, once you search for a particular record, some of the fields are obfuscated in the record. So what you really need to do is, you need to purchase the record so that you can view all the attributes on that particular record. I will demonstrate this with an example, which will make this clear. And finally, we do have the match APIs. So for customers who are familiar with Datacom Matching and Duns-Wright Matching, both those matching technologies are available in the match API. So what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to start with the search API, and I'm going to quickly jump into examples which start making more sense over here. So this is how you would use the search API today. It is in the form of a basic SOQL statement. So what you can do is, you can specify a bunch of field names and your object, as well as specify a bunch of filters around. So in this scenario, if I'm trying to search for a data cloud contact, I can specify which company am I looking at for, where's the city, what is the first name, etc. You can also do an auto by. So this is supported on all the 3 objects that we have today. So what I'm going to do at this point is, I'm going to switch over to Workbench. For people who are not familiar with Workbench, this is a basic tool that is available to you. It's a set of tools. So if you're looking to do operations like query your data, insert your data, update your data, this is a free tool that you can use right away. So the first example I have here is, you can see what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to query a bunch of parameters, such as a contact ID, a first name, last name, email, a bunch of other attributes from Data Cloud Contact is my attribute that's going to provide me the contact level data. I have a couple of filters. So in this example, I'm looking for contacts at Intel in California. I'm trying to order them by last name, and I'm using the limit clause. So this will only give me back 10 contacts. So let's say if I query. So you can see I got back a bunch of contacts. So all that information is displayed to me right away. You can see a bunch of contacts are obfuscated. Like, I can't see the complete email. I can't see the title. You see this important parameter over here, which is called isowned. False indicates that you do not have full access to this contact record. What you really need to do is purchase that record. And for this, it'll use up your monthly credits, that if you're a prospector user, it's going to deduct those monthly credits as you purchase the records. So this was one of the examples of how this data shows up. There are some of the fields that will be obfuscated. We do have a complete list of fields that are obfuscated on our website documentation. Like, some of them will always show up, some of them will remain obfuscated. So another example, so this is contact level data. So another example I'm going to pick here is with companies. So in this scenario, what I'm trying to look for is, now I'm accessing Data Cloud Company. This contains all the company information. So what I'm trying to do is access the company name, what's the revenue of the company, the city, state, parts of the address, along with the DUNS number. So let's say I query this field. So this gives me back a list of all the company records. Again, I'm using a fuzzy search on the name like Intel. So, I'll get a bunch of companies that will have the word Intel in them. Again, over here, so this annual revenue as 0 is just an example that this search result is obfuscated at this point of time. It does not contain, you need to purchase that record before you can see the complete data. So what we're going to do here is go through the process of how do I purchase a record. Okay? So for purchasing a record, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this link, firstly. So a purchase API uses this particular URL. So it uses it's a connect style API that some of you are already aware of. We specify that you're really looking in the space of data cloud. You're looking for contacts, and what I've specified here is a contact ID. So if I was to run this query, You see, I get back all the attributes of my contact right away. And as you can see, there are some fields that will be obfuscated to start with. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to try purchasing a record. So first thing I need to do is, it's a post request. The next thing what I'll do is, I'll specify the right URL for purchase. So this is the right URL that you would, again, connect style API, specify the version. Data Cloud is the space that you're operating in, and you're essentially creating an order. Now for your request, there are two things that you would specify in your request. The first thing is, what is your user type? You could be using your monthly prospector credits, or you have an option to use your list pool credits. So if I'm using my monthly credits, I go ahead and specify that in the request. The next thing I specify here is my contact ID. And one thing to point out here is, as soon as I go and click execute, it's going to go ahead and purchase that contact. It's going to deduct 1 credit from my list of monthly credits. So make sure you do have valid IDs in there. We do not validate the ID. So if I was to enter something random, some random ID over here, it would deduct your credit and you wouldn't get the record. So just make sure to verify what you're entering over here. So let me go ahead and execute on this. So like you can see, this is the response I got back. My purchase count is done. My record has been successfully purchased. Now just to verify this, I'm going to again select the same URL I was using earlier. So now you can see all the fields that were obfuscated that start appearing before me. So now I can see the email, I can see, I can see the name, I can see the title that was earlier getting obfuscated. Now another cool thing I want to point out while we are obfuscating is, so let me go back to the queries. I'm just going to pick up another of my examples. So, okay, give me a minute. So one thing you would see here was that before it was purchased, the title was obfuscated. But what you can still do is, it still allows you to filter on that particular title. So an example here is, if I was looking for title like, so this has filtered based on the titles which have director in them. It's just that you need to purchase the complete record to view the complete title of that particular record. Now finally, I have another object that we talked about. So this is the Data Cloud DNB company. So think about this as, today if you own the DNB company object in the UI, this contains all the information that is required to construct this object. Okay. Now it has a set of limited filters that you'll get to know if you visit our documentation. So I'm going to just take this example, run this query. So I'm looking for all the companies that have a name like Intel Corp. There's another filter here which is location status. What this signifies is, if you're looking, are you looking for a branch? Are you looking for a headquarters? Are you looking for a single location? So this is the terminology that Dun & Bradstreet uses to kind of segment their companies based on branches or headquarters. So you see I came back with a bunch of companies which are like called Intel. So next thing I'm going to demonstrate here is a cool thing. So you see we have Intel Corporation in US, and I see that the DUNS number of this company is so and so. So let's see, I have a use case that for some reason I'm starting to look for all the branches that Intel has. Okay? So I want to know all the branches that report up to this company, Intel Corporation. So for this, I can use another query. So I'm going to use the same DUNS number, specify it over here, and the filter I'm giving over here now is parent or HQ DUNS number. So what this is going to do is, and you can see I've changed the location status filter, which is now pointing to a branch. So once I query this, what it gives me back is, it gives me back all the branches of Intel that report up to this company over here. So these are all the branches. You can see that I have 93 records that come back, and all these are different Intel offices that I have in the US. So if you're looking to leverage things like parent hierarchy, how to construct that using Dunn's number, this is the query that you would use. So the next thing we have is a match API. A quick difference between search and match API is search gives you a more broader set of results. Match tries to pinpoint the exact result that you're looking for. The other difference being the match API does require a bunch of parameters before it can give you a result. So for example, match API requires you to have the company name. Match API does require parts of the address that include country and state. Okay? So how you can access this is, you can go to the REST Explorer. I'm just going to go up, right up to the level so that I can walk you through this. So the verb we use is the match verb in the API. So you can use match over here. You can see we have two match engines that are available to you. So the first one's Dunn's Right match engine, and the second one's Data Cloud. So if you're a customer who's interested in using Dunn's Right matching, you should use this matching engine. For the others, you have Datacom Matching engine. So let's try an example over here. So I'm going to make sure that I have the right URL. In the post request, I have this complete request, which let me just paste this in, and then I'm going to walk you through it. Okay. So now there are some parts of this request. So first thing that you're specifying in the match API is, what are you trying to match? Is it a company? Is it a contact? That is specified here. So it's a Data Cloud company. So next thing is you specify the details you have that are available to you. So in this example, I know I'm trying to find Google, a result for Google, based in Mountain View in US. The next thing is I'm batching up my requests together. So I'm giving two companies in one request. So one is Google. The other one I'm specifying here is Salesforce based out of Canada. So I'm sending two companies. You can batch your requests together. Now, a couple of options that we have is, what are the fields that you want back in your search results? So for example, along with the address, you want a lot more information such as your industry code, you want your SIC, NICS code, you want how many employees are there at the location, ticker symbol, trade style, etc. There are a bunch of optional parameters over here. You can specify how many options do you want back. So let's say you are trying to match Google. Do you want back one result, two results, five results? So you can specify how many results you want back. Also, you can specify what is the confidence, like, how confident are we that the result returned matches the data that you provided us. So this match result is typically between a number between 5 to 10. 10 means it's an exact match. 5 means, well, it's a loose match based on the data that you've provided us. So let me run this query to see. So I passed two results. I passed two company data in my request. One was for Google, one was for Salesforce. What I see is that, I found a match over here. I did return two records. And what I'm going to do here is, so pardon me for this, I'm going to walk you through this. If it's not really visible, please feel free to try this example. So in the first scenario you saw, I sent Google back. Now it has come back with a bunch of characteristics about Google. So it has come back with, the firmographic details, like what are the employees, what is the industry, what is the code. Also, it has come back with a confidence code that, we think this is of confidence 9. Now, along with this, if I scroll down, this is the other result that it came back with. Okay, this also thinks this is a 9. It came back with the details like the industry, whatever you requested, it came back with that. Now, the next information we sent for Salesforce, and this came back with all the details about Salesforce. The similar symbols, like what is the industry, what is the detailed address, you can get the complete address, you can get the zip code as well. Now, what you can do with this is, once you have data in your CRM, which you think has some fields missing, you would want to pass it through the Match API, get back all the fields, and then update your CRM with those fields. So this is how you would use the Match API. So I'm going to quickly switch back to our presentation here. So I talked about some of the logical operators that we support when you're using these search APIs. So some allow regular equal to, in, not equal to. We do have a good set of documentation on our website, like what all can you filter by or not. We talked about result obfuscation. You need to purchase the records before they start showing up. We talked about the purchase API. So this is the URL. And again, this is all there in the slides. So in the future, if you're looking at the slides, you have a reference URL, you have reference examples that you can view. We also have a bunch of other URLs that you could use. So such as if you're looking to know what is the usage for a particular user, like how many contacts or companies have they purchased using the API, you can use this URL and specify your user ID. So a bunch of URLs here. We talked about the Match API and differences between the search and Match API. Match is kind of more narrowed down. Search is going to give you a broader set of results. We talked about different matching that we have. We have matching across contacts and companies. You can use, for companies, you have an option to either use Duns Right or use Datacom Matching. Duns Right is really good if you have company data in international. So if you're doing a lot of business internationally and you want to match your companies, Duns Right is the match engine that you should be using. We looked at a sample request of you specify first what is the data that you have, what is the data you want to request back, how many results you want, etc. And the response. The response gives you back the data that you've requested. It also tells you whether the data that you provided to us, do we have different and updated data from what you gave us? So for example, if you gave us an incorrect number of employees, we can give you the right employees and let you know that your data is not correct. So you should update it with the data that we are providing you. So this is what we had from the APIs. Now we're going to switch into a real demo. And I'm going to pass this over to Mansi.
Thank you, Sid. Thank you for your time. I'm really excited to show everything that Sid spoke about, the APIs that we spoke about. We can see all that in action. We can translate that into business use cases. I have 2 demos lined up for us today. Before that, about me, I'm a senior software engineer with Data.com. And yeah, I'm really excited to show you what we have today. So the first use case that we're going to talk about is auto-add contact. Let's talk about the scenario. Say you have, you add multiple accounts into your CRM. It comes in with blank data. You don't know what contacts are associated with it. How do you work around that problem? Say I have a marketing campaign. I want to know who are the C-level execs associated with my account. So we can use the contact search API to come up with a use case about how can we automatically add contacts to our newly added accounts to the CRM, right? Let me jump ahead to my Salesforce account. So here's a list of accounts. I just imported a couple of accounts just before I got here. And let's go and check MetLife, for example. This is a new account that I've added to the system. And I haven't added any contacts because I don't have any contacts in here. Through the Data.com search API, I had my marketing campaign that was running, which said, add all the C-level execs that are listed in Data.com for MetLife. So here you go. We have 2 contacts. So out of the box, the account comes in with 2 contacts associated with it because I have a trigger that I've written that's running in the back end. And every time I add an account, it runs and checks, hey, are there any contacts that I can associate with this account? So this is the first use case for today. And let's jump back to the presentation. Yeah, so the other thing is you can either do it through the API or you can do it through the CRM. I have written a trigger that runs automatically. You can also use the Data.com APIs to do this. Let's go ahead and see how that's done. So here's Workbench. All right, let me kind of go ahead and explain what I'm doing here. The scenario that we were talking about, I'm saying for this account, which is General Electric, and I'm ordering by title. So I'm saying find all the contacts which have Chief Information Officer associated with this account. So let me go ahead and run this query. And these are the results that I see. Like Sid said earlier, the data is obfuscated because we don't own these contacts. And then we can use the purchase API to actually go ahead and buy these contacts. So this is a way of doing it through the APIs. The previous demo was about how do you write a trigger and make it run automatically. So that was the first use case. All right. The next one kind of uses the company search API. So let's go with the use case. It's basically associate parent account. Say I have information about a branch, right? For example, Salesforce. I have information about an account in Salesforce Paris, but I don't have much information, the DUNS number and the headquarters information about the San Francisco office. This is an enterprise example, but for companies that you might not know about what are the branches and what are the headquarters available for that company, we can figure out a use case about how do we use the company search API to go about doing this. So I'm going to switch back to my demo. Yeah, so this is the data.com tab. Like, I'm just going to go and find some accounts. And then for the purpose of this use case, I'm going to say just import some records that have branch information in it. For example, let's go ahead and import UBS into our record. I'm going to purchase that. All right. So here's what happened. So I went ahead and purchased UBS Financial Services, which is the branch. And the trigger that I had in the background kicked in. We're going to go over what that code does in a minute. So what it did is, if you go to the hierarchy, here you go. I have information about the parent account, and this drives off the DUNS number. So I had the account information for the branch. It went ahead and did a search on the company, and then went ahead and added the branch and the company information. So you can create your account hierarchy tree based on these company APIs. Just to get our hands a little dirty, because it's a developer session, let's go ahead and see a little bit about what this trigger actually did in the background. So I had a trigger written for associate parent account. Let me walk through what this does. So just to go over this, what it does is it first goes ahead and checks if there's a DUNS number for the account. If there is no DUNS number, it exits. And then if you have a DUNS number, what it does is it goes ahead and checks, do you already own an account to the parent account? And then it just goes ahead and links it to your child record. And if you don't own the parent account, it just goes ahead, searches for it, and adds it. That's pretty much what the script does, and it primarily leverages the company search APIs. So these are a couple of simple use cases that we've demonstrated, and we can make it a little more complex and figure out how to add triggers to purchase multiple records. To summarize, we've spoken about a couple of the APIs. Some of the gotchas are per call, you can make only 30 requests. That's one of it. And the DUNS right match API has only 10 requests per call. If you're doing it through the API, these are some of the limitations that you need to know. And these are also listed on the API website. In summary, right, to summarize everything that we've spoken about, we have 3 APIs, the search, purchase, and match API. And then in the search API, you have contact search, company search, and DNB company search. And purchase is for contact and company. Match is the same as search, like Sid spoke earlier. And here the limitations that are listed as to how many calls you can make to the server. And with that, these are the resources that they're uploaded on the links, and the presentation is going to be posted. So you have access to the code and the links that we provided. So with that, we'd like to open it up to some questions. Thank you for your time.
Sure.
Hi there. I have a use case where we have some targeted DNB accounts. And is there can we somehow use the DNB account information to target contacts that are related? So all I have is the DNB account data, and I just want to be able to maybe, in a list view, maybe target those related.
So I think you're looking for contact. So you have a set of accounts.
Yes.
You're looking for a bunch of contacts.
Yes.
Yes. So I think that auto add contacts on create, you could use that trigger and just automate it across your list. So what you would do is for every account, like let's say you know where your sweet spot is. Like we want VPs and in particular department. So what you would do is for each account, let's say title VP in this particular department, it'll go out, get you back 5 contacts, add it through. So you could run it through a loop and do this for your list view.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, related to DNB data that I have the SIC code data, but Data.com does a translation on the industry, and it summarizes a lot of those.
Yes.
And so it's not a exact match for I was just curious if there was some kind of way when you have the SIC code data to somehow do the translation to Data.com.
Kind of looking like for a crosswalk where we have a limited set of industry values. And how would you kind of take those industry values and map them to the various SIC codes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can work with you offline on that.
Okay.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions or? Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining.